Sunday and welcome back to my channel. This week we have another super fun fall DIY that we're going to be doing, and we're also going to do a little bit of decorating on the house. So I'm really super excited for the DIYs that we're doing in the next couple of videos. We have a bunch of fall DIYs coming our way. This is going to be kind of my way of decorating our home as we go and as we move throughout the season. And you all can follow along and do this with your house as well. So we're going to be kind of gradually building on the decor that we have for the fall season as we make new things and incorporate it into what we already have. So I think this is a really great way to decorate your house if you don't have any fall decor, or if you have very little fall decor, you can kind of just one by one add to the pieces. And everything that we're doing is super budget friendly. You can use a lot of materials that you already have or scrap materials, and I often do that. I repurpose materials that I have to make new things, and that's a great way of really keeping the budget down. So if you're going to move through the videos like I am and add to your decor as you go, then this is a great way to kind of do fall and holiday decor on a budget. This week we're going to be doing a fairly simple DIY. It does involve some sewing, but you can hand sew. So don't let that intimidate you if you see the material come out and the sewing machine come out and feel like that's not something that you can accomplish. You can absolutely hand sew this. It's a very minimal sewing project. So I'm just going to be using a sewing machine because I have one. The fall DIY that we're doing today is going to be some pumpkin pillows. These are super cute pillows. They are going to be really big and fluffy, and the material that I chose is perfect for the fall season. It also goes with a lot of decor, so I think it's going to fit in really nicely as we transition through the seasons. Along with the pumpkin pillows that we're going to be making, we're also going to do a little bit of decorating on the house. And I really don't have a lot of decorations up at this point. I've kind of just started breaking out some of the decorations and making some to go into our kit to decorate with. We're going to add in a new one, and this is something that I bought, but we're going to kind of mix and match and make it our own so that we can decorate our house with it. We're going to jump into that a little bit later in the video and see some of the ways that I'm going to be decorating the house to kind of fit into that fall transitional season, and keeping in mind that I want to incorporate more of the moody fall kind of vibe, the darker colors, and more natural elements into my fall decor this season. If you're interested in making some pumpkin pillows with me and starting to decorate our house for the fall season, then make sure to stick around and watch this video. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can see more videos like this every week. I put out new videos every Sunday. We're gonna go ahead and jump right into the video and get started making our pillows. The first thing that we're gonna do is make our pumpkin pillows. I have our fabric right here that we're gonna be using. I got two different kinds of fabric to make the pillows because I wanted to have two different styles when making the pillows. For both kinds of fabric, I got a half of a yard each. I think this will be more than enough. You probably could make multiple pillows with this. I would estimate that you could make about 4 pillows with this that are fairly large. What I plan to do is make 2 pillows, one in each fabric, and then I'll have the remaining fabric left over to do some future projects. I'm gonna make 1 in each, but if you wanna get a half of a yard or more and make multiple pillows, you can use the same technique for all of them. So the 2 fabrics that I got, this gray Sherpa material, it's super soft. The only thing with this material is that the ends do fray and shed, so what I'm gonna do with this is hem the edges before I work with it. And then to go with that, I got this beautiful plaid color, or pattern I guess, and I think this just is like the epitome of fall. It also is just super warm and cozy and inviting to me, and I just love this pattern. And I really love how they go together, and I think they're gonna work really nicely in our space as well. I'm thinking these will go in this living room. So our couch is like a gray color that kind of matches the Sherpa. So these two will go nicely with it. We will start by cutting our material. To make these pumpkins, you need to have a rectangle of fabric whatever size you want your pumpkin to be. So if you want a large pumpkin, cut a larger rectangle. If you want a small pumpkin, cut a smaller rectangle. I am going to use about half of this material to make my pumpkin. This whole thing is a half of a yard. I will use a quarter of a yard. And I'm gonna do the same size for our other fabric as well. So to do that, I'm gonna fold the fabric in half like this, and then I'll just cut along the seam. Okay, so we're gonna start to make our pumpkin. So you're gonna need a sewing needle and some thread that goes with the color of your pattern. I just want some black thread, and you wanna cut it longer than you think you need it. So like this, I don't even think it fits in the frame. This is my whole piece of thread right here. Hey baby. And our special guest Nala. So what we're gonna do to start off is we're gonna do a running stitch along the long edge of your rectangle. All that means is that you're just going to weave a normal stitch through the long side of your fabric. So this side here where it's the longer edge of the rectangle. It's a really simple stitch. And you want to leave some excess thread on both sides of your fabric, so you want to cut enough thread to be able to do that. So we're just going to go through, and then on the other side you're going to poke it through. And it can be pretty long spaces between your stitch because this isn't for hemming, it's to scrunch the fabric up to make the pumpkin shape. And once you get that first one through, go ahead and grab the edge of your thread and pull a couple inches worth of thread off the edge so that you have some excess fabric on both sides, including the side you're starting with. All right, so that was probably a little bit more than I needed, but like about this, like 2 inches worth of thread left over. And you want to leave that there, you don't want to pull it through. I'm at the other end of my fabric and I've got some excess left over right here, and that is exactly what we want. So let's make sure that it's all looking good. We still have our excess, no weird gaps like we do right there. So we'll pull that tight and then that should be good. So you can see there's pretty large spaces between my stitches, and that's totally fine because we're gonna pull this to scrunch our fabric later. So now that I have that, I'm going to cut my needle off right here. And then what I'm going to do is just tie a little knot on the edge here so that it doesn't accidentally get pulled through the fabric. This is just for like caution. It's not something that you actually need. I just don't want it to pull through when we're working on other things. And we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other long edge. We've got our running stitch on both sides with some extra thread left over on each edge. And what we want to do now is to take our pretty side, whatever your pretty side is. So for me, it's this side, and I can tell because the colors are more vibrant on one side than the other. And so I want the vibrant colors facing out. Whatever you want your pretty side to be, you're gonna face that up. Then you're gonna fold it in half. All right, so you want your short edges matched up and you want to fold it in half along the length. We are going to stitch our short edges together. I already have a seam right here where it wasn't cut, so this side does not need to be stitched, but this side is open where we cut it, so we do need to stitch this side. So we're going to stitch a clean stitch all the way along here. So for this one, you can hand stitch it just like we did along the long edges. You would just make it a tighter stitch, so less space between each stitch, or you can use your sewing machine. I'm going to use my sewing machine because I have one available to me. If you don't, hand stitching will totally work. This is not something that's going to get like a ton of wear and tear on it. It's not a piece of clothing. So the stitches are not going to get pulled out over time. It's just a pillow that's going to sit decoratively for the season. We're going to stitch all the way along here, and then we'll come back and go from there. All right, so we now have our short edge stitch shut. You can see that right along here. And the other side was never cut, so we don't need to stitch over there. Now you want to find your 2 loose edges that we left hanging out on the long sides when we sewed them. You're going to grab both sides and you're going to gently pull it shut. Just like this, you want to close off one side of your fabric. Once you have it pulled in like this, you're going to tie it shut. Once you have enough knots, then you can cut your excess thread. Then we are going to flip it right side out, and it should be just like a little sack. Okay, so now what we want to do is to get some batting, and batting is just stuffing for like pillows and things like that. So I have this big bag of batting, and we're going to take some of our batting and stuff our pumpkin pillow with it. Okay, so now that we have our little pumpkin tube tied off, we're going to get some rope, twine, ribbon, really whatever you have, and we're going to use this to make our pumpkin shape. I'm going to run my twine, this is like macrame twine, I'm going to run it across the bottom like this. You want to kind of tie it really tight and then go another direction with it like that. So you're going to want to have quite a large amount of your twine cut off when you start this. Okay, so I'm going to pull more than I think I need, and then I can always cut some off like that. Okay, so we've got a big amount. I'm going to find the middle of it, and our middle point is where we're going to start. So you're going to put the bottom of your pumpkin on the middle point and wrap it around the top, and then tie, not a knot, but just pull it tight right there so that it's not going to go anywhere. So now that I have it where I want it, I'm going to run it across the sides like that and do the same thing on the bottom. Tie it again. Okay, so it's starting to get that pumpkin shape, and you want to keep doing this until you have the shape that you want for your pumpkin pillow. Ultimately, you want to have your final knot on the top, that way the stem can cover it up. Alright, when you have your pumpkin shape, go ahead and tie it off. Okay, so this is where our pumpkin is at after tying it all off. I think it looks super cute already. And so what I did was I just left the remaining string on here, and we're going to use that to make the stem of the pumpkin. So there's a lot of different ways that you can make the stem. You could use like some styrofoam, you could use fabric, you could sew a fabric stem and stuff it and attach it. Really, you could do anything that makes the shape that you want. This is more of a decorative pillow. It's not something that you would necessarily be like sleeping on really. It's kind of just something that would sit on your couch or a chair to look nice during the fall season that someone could have in their lap or something like that, but you wouldn't really be laying on this necessarily. So it's okay for the stem to be a little bit more fragile. Obviously we want it to stay on and be strong so that we're not constantly having our stem fall off and having to reattach it, but it doesn't need to be as strong as something that you would be laying your head on that stem. The route that I am going to go is aluminum foil. So what I did was I took a couple of sheets of aluminum foil and I folded them in half and kind of just scrunch them up to make a stem-like shape. And then I use that to kind of see the scale that I want it to be. From there, I'm going to be hot gluing our stem down and then gluing some of this cord around it to disguise it and make it look more stem-like. So now that I've got the stem on there pretty well, we're going to make it extra secure by adding some of our twine around the edges, and this will help to hold it onto our pillow because the twine is still attached. Alright, so here is our finished pumpkin pillow. I think it turned out really, really cute. I love the stem. And it's actually very secure. Like, I don't think that it's coming off even if somebody hit it or something like that. It's really on there. This is our first one with our plaid pattern, and then we're gonna make the second one with the Sherpa fabric, the gray Sherpa fabric, and we're going to do the exact same process for that second pumpkin. The only difference is that I'm going to hem the edges of the Sherpa fabric just so that it doesn't unravel, because that type of fabric tends to do that. So I'll just fold over the edges, run a stitch, and then we'll do the exact same thing for that one, and then we will be all set and we'll decorate with them. So I'm gonna make that second pumpkin off camera because it's the exact same process, and then I'll meet back with you all after to decorate with our pumpkins. All right, and here's our second pumpkin pillow. So now we have both of them done. They look like this. I think they turned out really, really cute. I love the final result. I definitely think they look like pumpkins. They were super easy to make and not very expensive at all. For the two of those, I spent a total of about $20, and that was to buy the fabric and the stuffing. I already had the macrame twine, hot glue, aluminum foil, and that is everything that you need to make it. And then also like needle and thread, I had that as well. So the only things that I needed to buy were fabric and stuffing, and that cost about $20. And I do have still half a bag of the batting left over and half of each of the pieces of fabric that I got, so a quarter of a yard remains. So I can still use that for quite a lot of projects. So really, if you were going to separate that cost out and only add up what I used for this project, it's about $10. So to make both these pumpkins cost me $10. And if you look online at pumpkins like this, the pillow style pumpkins, they can be about $20, $25 a piece. So we saved $15 per pumpkin. $30 total. So really this is like an amazing deal to make both of these for $10. It was a really easy project. It only took me like an hour to make them. You really don't need a lot of tools to be able to do this. You can work with what you have. And you could actually use fabric that you already have at home, like an old blanket or something like that, like an old hoodie. You could turn that into a pumpkin. We're gonna go ahead and decorate with these and see how they look on the couch. If you give these a try, leave a comment, let me know. I hope that you do. I think it's a really great DIY for fall and something that anyone could do. Alright, so the next thing that I want us to do is to step into some of the decorating of the house. I want to put some fall garlands around the house and kind of highlight some of the spaces that I really enjoy in our house and frequently use and see. Okay, so the two color schemes that we're going to be working with today, we have two different locations that we're going to be putting the garlands. And one is going to be this windowsill right here, which is our kitchen windowsill. And this window looks out to our garden, and it also has these really white shutters. So with this space, I wanted to add a little bit more of the darker, moody colors of fall. I found two garlands that we'll be using for that, and I've woven them together. And we have this really kind of typical fall leaf color that we see, which is like the orangey red color, and it has a thick vine in it, and then these red eucalyptus that are going to be put with it. And on our fall leaf vine, it also has some like acorns and berries and pine cones to kind of bring in some of those natural elements that you see all the time in fall in woods and out when you're hiking and things like that. I wanted to bring that into our space and have it somewhere that I see every day. I'm going to put that around our kitchen window. Let's see how we're doing. Yeah, that's definitely more of the vibe that I'm going for. So I'm gonna lower the left side down to kind of be more in line with what I have on the right. Then we'll add some of our lights. Okay, and then what I'm doing is I'm using these like super skinny nails to tack in between the vines of the garland to hold them to the wall. So these nails are really tiny, and that way if I want to at the end of the season, I can just pull the nails out of the wall, repurpose them for Christmas garland, and then pull them out of the wall. And I'm doing this because there were already some nails up there from the decor pieces that I had up, but they were too high for where I wanted the garland to be. So in testing it, I really didn't like how it was sitting. So we're just gonna add some skinny nails to lower the garland down to the right height. Alright, so I'm really liking how the garland's looking. The only thing that I think I may want to change is this little dip right here in the garland. I think I want it to lay a little bit more even all the way through. So I'm going to go and add a little nail right where it's dipping, and then we can weave some of our lights throughout and see how it looks. This is the other space where we're going to be putting our garlands. So this is the doorway going into our sunroom, and right in here is our sunroom. So you can see what I mean with it being a very bright space. It's towards the evening time right now, so it's darker outside, and it's also rainy. But usually we get a ton of sunlight through here, which really lights up the room. There's also a lot of neutral pale colors, lots of whites in this room. We have a green cabinet and some wood, but otherwise it's generally mostly a white room. So I wanted to kind of keep the garland over here a little bit more neutral, but tying in some of these more earthy colors like we have with our fireplace over here with the deep green. So we're gonna put this around this door frame here, and I think for this one I wanna have it kind of draping in the center, and we'll see how that looks, just to kind of diversify the looks between the two garlands that we have going on. Also because this door frame is so tall, I think that we're able to do that in this space without it kind of taking away from the functionality of the room. We're going to do the same technique as we did with the kitchen windowsill. In this space, we're going to wrap the garlands and then weave the lights throughout and just kind of put little tacking nails where we need them to hang the garland around this door frame. Wraps up our video for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video and hopefully making some pumpkin pillows of your own. I'm really happy with the way the combination of the different garlands worked in our space, and I think it's really leaning into that natural, moody fall vibe that I'm going for. I'm really excited about how our fall decor is turning out this year. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can see more videos every week. I put out new videos on Sunday. We're gonna do a little series on different fall and holiday decor items that we can make and decorate with so that you can jumpstart into the season with really strong decor in your home and things that you're really happy with that fit the look and the vibe that you're going for. That you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next week.